Bat Testes by Pete Berman. Why do some bats have larger testes than others? There are a couple theories as to why different bats have various sizes of testes. One is that the larger testes are an adaptation of sperm competition. This is due to the fact that the large testes produce more sperm, which in turn gives it a higher chance of making it win the race when a female bat has mated with multiple males in a single cycle. Another study done by Syracuse University suggests that testes size correlates with brain size and how much a female mates with multiple mates. In this study, it served as a balance between the trade-off of testes and brain size. Experiment. David Hoskins hypothesized that larger testes were an adaptation to sperm competition. He felt that larger colonies of bats would correlate with larger testes size among the males. Hoskins also wanted to know if it was an inherited trait or if these bats evolved into their group size. Another study performed wanted to find out if there was a correlation between brain size and testes size. Pitnick of Syracuse University studied numerous species of bats. He also felt that this adaptation had something to do with sperm competition. Observation and results. Hoskins found that there was a direct correlation between group size and testes size of bats. His research allowed him to find that the larger the group of bats, the larger the testes were compared to the bat size. Being that females in larger groups had a better chance of mating with multiple partners each estrus cycle, it allowed for more sperm competition, since larger testes allow for larger amounts of sperm. It helps increase the male bat's chances of having offspring. He also found that similar species may have inherited testes and group size from common ancestors. Observation continued. Pitnick studied hundreds of bat species and found that the bigger the brain a bat had, the smaller his testes were. His studies also found that bats cannot afford a big brain and big testes. Since the brain and testes are the most metabolically expensive tissues, bats cannot support both. They can have a large brain and smaller testes, or a smaller brain and larger testes. This in turn creates a balance between brain size and testes size. Through Pitnick's studies, he found that in bat groups with more promiscuous females, that males had larger testes and smaller brains, and vice versa, that in bat groups with less promiscuous females, the males had smaller testes and larger brains. This also supports Hoskins' theory that testes size correlates with sperm competition. Pitnick also found that male fidelity had no direct correlation on testes and brain size. Conclusion. In conclusion, there are multiple reasons why bats have such a variety in testes size compared to their body size. Sperm competition is the biggest factor in the testes size of bats. Stemming from that is the group size of bat also factors into the testes size, but that is because the larger the group of bats, the more competition for a mate there is, and the more likely a female is to mate with multiple mates in one estrus cycle. A third factor to testes size is brain size, but once again, this also has to do with sperm competition that these male bats face, and they only have the smaller brain size or larger brain size because of the amount of competition they face. References are text provided by the professor, livescience.com, and